Hi, everybody. Welcome to fall. This is Hillary Zalman here with Boca's Briefcase and the Boca Raton Tribune. As always, we thank the Boca Raton Tribune for creating this platform so we can hear what's going on in our community and abroad. Today, I'm curious to find out what's going on in our local Florida colleges. So we have some amazing guests. I'm very, very excited. Let's just not wait any further. I do want to tell you, though, for fall, I think we had a bit of a cooler day yesterday, so it's neat. We have some really great guests coming up, including New York best-selling author for anyone interested in like writing or the writing process or publicity. Next week, I believe, we have a hotel owner in Miami Beach talking about the reopening of Miami. What's the current status? What's it look like if you were to go to South Beach this weekend? And a lot of really fun things coming up. The supervisor of elections talking about early voting. So for anyone who's interested in these topics and more, there's a lot lined up. Just subscribe to the Boca Raton Tribune or Boca's Briefcase, or press subscribe when you see these notices come up, and so that you'll get reminders of the Wednesday 2 p.m. show. So without further ado, our first guest is Sabrina Ginsburg. Sabrina is she's a student at University of Miami, a senior, majoring in health sciences. I was going to say Sophie first, but then Sabrina popped up. So, major in health sciences, pre-med, extremely impressive senior at my alum, Yay! Welcome to the program. And then we have Sophie Ginsburg, same last name, what a coincidence. She is at one of the most beautiful campuses I've ever seen, Rollins College. Love the college, love the university, love that you're here. Her major is health communications. She is a sophomore. Both of these girls authored a book before they even went to college. These are extraordinary women, so we're just so happy. And then I'm sorry, Mario, why did you get that face? I'm coming to you. Mario Rodriguez, who just graduated cum laude, FAU student, our local student, yay FAU. I took a couple classes there as well. I love FAU. And he studied communications and music technology, and is actually one of the producers of the Boca Raton Tribune. So really exciting to have you here too, Mario. Thank you.
Pleasure.
So we have a lot to talk about. So I want to jump right in. You know, there's a lot of news and a lot of press about, especially right here in Palm Beach County, what's going on in our local schools, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. But today we're going to talk about college. And I have a feeling the 2020 college experience is a little different than when I went. So that's what we want to jump into. And we're just going to talk about everything. Okay. Wow. So let's see, where should we start? Let's start with the regular class educational academic stuff before we get into the social fun stuff. For academia, let's go around. Tell me what it's like for you for our audience. And by the way, anyone watching, everyone here is very busy. They've taken their time out to share to the community what's going on. And these girls and gentlemen have classes to run to. So give them hearts, give them likes. Feel free to ask them questions as you go. So What's it like to go to class? You're all on campus. Tell me what's different, what's changed. I mean, I know the mask thing, but who wants to start? Sophie, it's going to be you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am a sophomore, so I'm still trying to get used to, this is my third semester on campus, still trying to know where everything is on campus. I'm taking 5 classes right now, and 2 of those classes are in person. One of them is in a classroom, 6 feet apart. Everyone wears masks, and you have to show an app when you walk into your in-person class called Campus Clear. And every morning you wake up and you have to either write, it's like you choose if you're having any symptoms or no symptoms. You have to take your temperature every morning, and then you get something that's like you're cleared for campus. So any building you walk into, you have to show this Campus Clear app saying that you're cleared to go into this building. So that's what my in-person class looks like. And then I have another in-person class that's actually outside in a tent. It's pretty open tent. It's, chairs 6 feet apart, and they give you a tray, put my laptop on, and then there's a professor who sits in the front with her microphone and talks to us like she would in any other class. And then I have 3 other classes that are all online, and they're all via WebEx, and they're all students that are on campus, off campus, doing their classes from home or wherever they are.
Right. So, are you doing temperature checks? I forgot to ask that.
Yeah, so depending on which building you go into, you have to get a temperature check. And they gave us a reusable thermometer that we're supposed to take our temperatures every single morning before we go onto our Campus Clear and fill out to make sure we're cleared for campus. But we do have to scan the Campus Clear when we go into the dining hall, when we go into our main science center, when we go into the library, and those are checkpoints of, they use that for contact tracing. They use that to know where we've been, where, if I've been in even a classroom with other people. We have assigned seats in my in-person classes. I have assigned seats so they can say that if somebody had sat in that seat in the class before me, that person was exposed or has COVID. They also spray down the seats and the desks every time we leave and when you walk in. So you're in charge of wiping it down. The person before you sprays it, you come in and you wipe it. And that's something that has been very consistent in all of my classes, and all my friends say that the desks are always wet because they spray them down right before.
Sophie, you're like a spokesperson for Rollins. I mean, this is intense. This is very good. Sabrina, are you getting the same experience at UM? What's UM like?
For sure. I mean, everything she just said sounds exactly like what I'm experiencing also. Ours is called the Symptom Checker. It's an app on our phone. Every building you walk into, you have to show your symptom checker. Professors can stop you randomly and ask you to show your symptom checker. We have a program called the Public Health Ambassadors, which is cool. They walk around campus. I think there's about 70 of them. And so they work different shifts, and there's always a public health ambassador doing rounds around campus, different areas. And those are the people who enforce, mask wearing, social distancing, things like that. They can also randomly stop you to check your temperature and to see that you filled out the symptom checker.
But you're going to class. You're going to classes.
Yeah. So with class, I'm taking 4 classes this semester, and I am all in person for every single class, which I feel like is very rare. People always are like, what? And it kind of, if we even remember what the word normal feels like, that's what it feels like. The only thing that's different is that I wear a mask everywhere I go. And obviously I am in massive lecture halls. So one of my classes is only 11 people. It's a discussion-based class, and we're in a massive room because there's only 12 of us in the room, including the professor. And so we're spaced far apart. Same thing as Sophie said, there's wipes at the door. You wipe down the desk before you sit. You wear your mask the whole time. My largest class is 50 students, and we are in an auditorium that fits 3,000 normally. So you can imagine how much room there is. You have a whole table to yourself, and then there's a foot or two before the next whole table. So it's a huge lecture hall. I never feel unsafe in classes, actually.
And you were both excited to go back to school. You were pumped. You were ready to go.
I was nervous. Nervous was definitely on the top of the list, maybe right before excited, because there was just so many things that I wasn't sure about. What it was going to look like on campus, and how people were going to actually follow those rules, and how it was going to be enforced. But
right.
And I've been here for 6 weeks now, and I feel really confident and safe. never have I felt like I've been in an unsafe location where I could have been exposed or anything. There's social distancing everywhere in all of the buildings. Even on the shuttle, they only let so many people on. It gets 6 or 7 because I live off campus, so I have to take the shuttle to school.
Right. And Mario, you have a little different perspective. You also help do some of the morning news for the Tribune. So I know you get the up-to-date information on FAU, and you still have a connection into FAU. So what's going on with our local Boca Raton campus? Is it in-person classes? Is it all virtual?
Well, right now, say what?
I was confused last time because I remember it was virtual, and then I thought they opened a little bit. So
well, FAU was completely shut down from spring break until the end of the semester. There was no in-person interaction at all, with the exception of cleaning out lockers and supplies and things like that. But this semester they have returned, I believe, as of Labor Day. They have returned to limited in-person classes. Most classes you can take online if you want. You have the option. I do believe they are limiting in-person classes to a certain capacity. I believe it's half capacity, but I don't quote me on that. I am doing that by memory.
So they're doing like a blended learning situation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. It's kind of weird because there are curriculums and courses that don't really work well for that. I have no idea what the music program is doing where I was, because there are choirs and ensembles and things like that have to play together. Getting 6 feet between choristers is kind of impossible.
I was hearing this wasn't with the university, but unfortunately with one of the schools, they canceled the orchestra program, which was so sad because people can get together. So sometimes I feel like the arts always suffer, right? The arts. So let me ask you a question. Is there any, you were talking about going to class, so it sounds like you're there. Sabrina, actually, and congratulations, has her first medical interview tomorrow for medical school. And she was
later, but soon.
Oh, yeah, soon. But she was actually saying she's going in person. So I thought we were talking before the program.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a balance between Zoom and in person everywhere a little bit.
Yeah. So for most of my classes, for all of my classes, there are so many students in person, but then there are also students that are Zooming in. So because the professor has like a camera set up at the front, for the students that remained at home for the semester, they can also partake in the class. And essentially every class is hybrid, but because I'm on campus, I go in person. So
are people, is it controversial at all? Because I feel like your colleges are mini cities, and it sounds like they're set up better than our own cities. You have like apps that are working, you have building checks. I don't know why this is not happening everywhere. It sounds like the future where you are, but in a sci-fi world. But are there people that are pulling back? Is there anything controversial? Is there anything, there's rejection? I mean, anything like that to report, or not so much?
Not that I can think of. The only problem I think the school might be having is it's mandatory to go get tested every 10 days. So depending on your class schedule and if you're free that day. So for my building, it's mandatory to go get tested next Wednesday. So I have to go on Wednesday. And for other students that maybe have class or not, Wednesday might not be feasible. So I know that's sort of an issue, but the last 10 days, I think there was less than a 10% rate of students that didn't get their mandatory test.
What kind of test? Is this the nose test that people talk about?
Yeah, it's a nose swab. We have a testing center on campus, and it's mandatory to go at least every 10 days.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. So Sophie, Mario, have you heard anything controversial regarding?
Yeah, so actually it's not mandatory at my school to be tested. They are very much, wanting us to do it, and they send out emails saying, please go get tested. And we have 2 testing sites on our campus. One of them is actually a clinical trial that our school signed up for, where it's like 3 different stations where you have to like spit in a tube and do all this, and then you find out 5 to 7 days later. And then there's one if you are symptomatic and you want to get tested, the rapid test at the wellness center at our school has it available for us. And on the controversy side, I think an incident that just happened on campus this past week. School started last Monday. It's been less than a week, and there was already a couple cases. There was actually 1 case, and that case stemmed from one girl in a sorority, and there was a sorority meeting. And since one girl had it, all 30 girls that went to that meeting are now quarantined. Now, all of them were tested, all of them came back negative, but they're all in quarantine. And so I've heard that there is some controversy saying, I didn't get near this girl. I stayed 6 feet. I wore my mask. I got 2 rapid tests that said I was negative. Why do I now have to stay in my dorm for the next 14 days? And I mean, to me, it makes sense. Might as well just, play it safe. We don't know. Like, we would rather catch it early. It's just,
Right.
They're getting tested daily at this point with the rapid test, but there is controversy saying that at what point can the school really tell us that we cannot leave our dorms? I mean, they're providing meals, they're dropping off water, they're giving us online options, they're doing everything that they can
It's a hotel.
in school. So I think personally,
I'm like, that sounds nice. Do any of these schools have current fraternities or sororities that are in houses or no?
No. So my school actually switched from, there's no single dorm with 2 people living in a room. So my school went completely, you are living by yourself. So I have my own room, my own bathroom, same with every single person on campus. So there's no double rooms, and that because of that, they got rid of all the sorority and fraternity life houses. Social life, that is still continuing. There's, obviously there's no like formals or parties or stuff like that.
Oh, we're going to get into social life.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a lot of virtual events that happen, but as of like houses, there are no houses anymore because they needed to accommodate all those people to live on campus in a single house, like a single room. I'm sorry, yeah.
Is FAU or UM housing fraternity sororities or active dorms? Yes. Sabrina says yes.
Yeah, for sure. We have all the frat houses have boys in them. We don't have sorority houses here,
right?
But the fraternity houses are operating at full capacity. I mean, they are just like any other on-campus student. They also have to get mandatory testing, and same thing as Sophie said. We've had a few cases popping up on a floor, and then the entire floor of the building has to quarantine.
Are there dorms? Are roommates allowed in the dorms right now? Do you know? Or
yeah. So in my the freshman dorms and the sophomore dorms, there are roommates allowed. For me, I'm in an apartment, so I have my own room and share a living space with my roommate. But for other people, they are having roommates. Yeah.
Mario, do you know if the on-campus housing is open right now?
The on-campus housing at FAU, at least at FAU Boca, is open. I know that they're not doing guests. I believe they're limiting capacity. I'm not sure if it's individual students or if it's maximum 2 to an apartment. But I know that some of the configurations where they were packing more students in are no longer the case. I do know that for a fact. Right now, isolation has been left up to students. So if a student comes down with it, they have to self-isolate, and that's their responsibility.
Right.
For us, they will deactivate your card that opens the room, so you have to stay inside.
Wow! This is really legit.
Yeah.
I mean,
we also have the no guest rule. If you don't live in the building, you're not allowed in. They're very strict about that because you have to swipe your card to get into the building in the first place. So yeah, it feels like everything's so safe because of the rules that are around.
So let's get into the fun stuff. And Mario, I almost forgot, but you didn't get away with it. For anyone that recognizes Mario's voice, he's sort of famous. Mario, show us why you're famous. He used to do the weather, his voice. It's his voice. So he's got a really cool gift. Can you share, please?
Okay. You're going to find an accident on I-95 northbound at Glades. It's blocking 2 left lanes, causing delays all the way back to Hillsborough. Give yourself some extra time if you're headed through there. The turnpike is moving at speed. That's looking pretty good right now. Sawgrass Expressway all the way down in Dade. Palmetto Expressway, disabled vehicle southbound at 36th Street.
That's crazy.
We'll see you guys next time. Oh, my God.
I can't.
It's not a real traffic.
Thank you, Mario. That was me. I don't even know how you came up with that just like that, but thank you.
I've done it. I did it for like 3 years, so.
That is really neat. So let's get into what everybody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about classes with college. College is not about classes and academia. It's about the fun that we're paying for. So, Okay, so, and Sophie, you were about to open the store. What are you allowed to do? Are there parties? Are there, oh my goodness.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah.
So we're both of us are in Greek life, and I know for me at least, Greek life is basically canceled for the semester. No Greek life is allowed to exist. No, registered parties, no gatherings of more than 10 people. If more than 10 people of the same sorority or fraternity are gathering, then that's considered a social event and is grounds for consequences. So that's all. Everything's sort of on pause for now. I think at least my school is reevaluating on November 1st is when they're going to potentially look at the rules again. But as of right now, there is nothing allowed of more than 10 people.
So there's no Ratskeller. There's no, what about going to?
The Rat's open, but no alcohol is being served. So it's been pretty dead all semester, sadly. But it's a Miami-Dade law right now. I'm pretty sure that no alcohol is allowed to be served at like bars, but you can serve them at restaurants. So we decided to abide by that. There's also a city curfew. So everyone has to be back in their living facility, wherever that is, by 11 p.m. And that's the entire county. So it's definitely weird to tell college students I'm 21 years old and I have to be home by 11,
Right. So, I mean, I'm familiar with Miami, and Sophie, I'm not as sure the college town by Rollins, but are people going to the Grove? I know we have a guest coming in from South Beach next week to talk about the hotel situation, but is the Grove happening?
So indoor seating actually opened up for restaurants, I believe 2 weeks ago. So restaurants are operating like normal. Everything feels very normal. Brickell's open. The Grove is open. The only thing is you have to wear a mask, and you can't sit with more than 4 people at a table. You're only allowed 4 people, and your mask has to be worn at all times except when you're seated.
Okay. That's interesting. So there's all this news about how college students don't care. It's crazy. If you're in college, that means you're at a party with 16,000 people every night, and everybody this close together. So you all have friends. We've discussed this before we got on, that are at universities around the school. Is this similar experiences that they are having, or what? Okay, these are interesting faces. So. Yeah, share with me what you know about some other colleges or other experiences people are having.
Yeah, so from what I know, I'm about 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes away from UCF. For those of you that don't know, I'm at Rollins, which is in Winter Park, 20 minutes from Orlando. And at UCF, I have seen crazy things happen with social media, with people going to the pool and gathering at places, and obviously I know that a lot of like bars and restaurants aren't open, but in Orlando and Winter Park, I haven't seen a lot of places that are closed down because of COVID. It's just not really something that is here anymore, I guess. But UCF has been not good. I think a lot of my friends that I've talked to say don't really. They're going out, they're going to parties. Fraternities are allowed to hold parties at their houses. And I guess it's such a large school that it's harder to control that many people. I feel like I'm in a very controlled environment. There's 3,000 people living on my campus. They can control that really well. As for, sorority and fraternity life, those things are still happening. Just a lot of it is virtual. There's a max capacity of a 35-person max in a room, gathered on at the field, anywhere. So this past week, it was, a high holiday, and there was allowed to be held, like things were allowed to be held in, inside places. So social events have continued. A lot of them are virtual. I know a lot of my school events, a lot of club meetings are being held via WebEx. I know that, club fairs have been held online. It's very strange. I have a lot of friends who are freshmen who this is the first time away from home, and for them to not be able to go to a club fair and talk to people and be able to make new friends and hang out in friends' dorms, that is so strange. Even my friends that are at this school, where they're doing everything possible to do such a great job, that it's still difficult for them to make friends. And especially at UCF, I mean, there's so many kids, but if you're someone like me who's super conscientious about all of this, it's probably really hard. And UCF is one of the ones that I know, they're not as strict about everything. A couple of schools up north, I know, it's Miami of Ohio. There's nobody is allowed to live on campus. So every student has to live off campus. So it really just depends, I think, on the size of the school.
So does anyone else have any stories to share from other states, other schools, any information?
So we're a big football school, obviously University of Miami, and it's been heartbreaking this semester to not be able to have tailgates or to attend the games, especially as a senior. So I lost my last year of, tailgating and football and all of that. So this weekend's actually our big FSU game, our biggest game of the season every year. And I know, obviously, we will not be having anything because that's not allowed. But FSU, a few weekends ago, all over social media was having massive tailgates as if nothing was changed. So that was really shocking to see. And I assume they'll probably do the same for this weekend's game. I know a lot of my good friends go to University of Michigan, where classes are completely online. And things are really hectic there, I think. I know the RAs were on strike. The graduate assistants or teachers assistants or something like that, they were also on strike. The dining staff was on strike. Things are not, like Sophie said, we are both in a very controlled environment being at smaller schools. And I think schools as big as University of Michigan or Florida State University, it's just harder to get a hold on your students.
Right. And Mario, I haven't heard any press, unless you know differently, about things happening at FAU.
FAU is a fairly well-controlled campus. If anybody ever has gone on there, they have a organization as far as where buildings are and how things flow, that enables them to really keep a good lid on the buildings. So I'm not surprised that FAU's actual life in terms of events and parties has been well kept a lid on. Right now, from what I'm hearing from my fellow students, there's no socialization going on. They are basically keeping things closed. I will say that FAU's football program is experiencing some woes right now. They had to cancel their game against Georgia for this weekend because 18 members of the football program tested positive for COVID-19. So they didn't say whether it was students or faculty, but 18 people were sick, and they basically canceled. And this was after 2 tests. First 11 people got sick, and then a few more. So they shut it down.
Maybe that's why the NFL, I think I heard it on the news yesterday, they were so difficult. They had 2 big penalties on the coaches for not wearing masks on the field. It was $100,000 in penalties. So I guess it's because once someone gets it, they don't want the team or to knock down the whole process.
That's a very expensive fine.
It's a very expensive fine. I wouldn't want to be fined $100,000 for not wearing a mask. The news said they were warned in advance, but I don't know. So that's interesting. So it sounds like it's really school per school, though in South Florida and including Rollins. I don't think they're highlighting these schools as having these huge, crazy parties. Yeah. And we even have Miami here represented, and everyone thinks Miami is out of control.
Yeah, it's also a little different down here in that, we had a particularly vicious outbreak compared to other parts of the state and in some other states. Like South Florida's outbreak became considerable to the point where Palm Beach just entered phase 2 just now. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that's interesting because Miami has been on the news, on national news all over, as just being out of hand, but obviously not its university or its students. Yeah. I'd like to, go around and realize that you might have parents or grandparents or students that are home or thinking about going to college. What advice would you give anyone, about going back to school right now, to those who are watching? And Sabrina, I'll start with you.
Wow. I definitely had people give me crazy looks when I told them I was going back to school in Miami, which was the epicenter, considered an epicenter for a long time, especially when I was headed back here at the beginning of August. People gave me crazy looks, but I was like, I'm doing it. I trust my school. I don't know if you guys have ever heard President Frank speak, but he's the president of our university, and I would trust this man with my life. I am trusting him with my life. Yeah, and I think that he's essentially running, like you said, a mini city here, and it's gone incredibly well so far. The cases that we have here are so little to none. I personally don't know of anybody who is even in quarantine or has it or has had it. So knock on wood, I won't.
No, that's amazing.
But I definitely think that for anybody considering going back, just take a look at what your school specifically is, the guidelines they're abiding to, and anything along those lines that would help make sure that there is, rules, because you can see there are other universities that don't have the same restrictions, and that's where they're falling apart.
It's amazing that the universities have, implemented this technology. I just wonder if it's going to be shared with the communities at large, because you look at these mini cities, these colleges, people are still going out, they're still going to restaurants, they're going to classes, and yet it's not spreading. So this technology and these rules seem to be really working. I hope maybe you guys are the future, but then you will need to act very quickly because.
Yeah, and the dean's office is being very adamant about anything that is reported. You can submit an anonymous report of anybody that you see not following social distancing. If there's something on social media you see that's concerning, you can submit a picture of it. I think it's a little bit of a scary process, but it holds students accountable, so that they always know somebody is always watching, and the dean's office is definitely taking care of anybody who's not listening.
Right. Well, and Sabrina, by the way, I wish you the best of luck being a senior, going on to be a future doctor. You're very, very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you. Hopefully I get somewhat of a normal senior year at some point. Let's all hope.
You can help us all one day. Mario, what advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about going back to school, maybe going to FEU, or the families of students? Do you have anything you wish to share?
I would say try to minimize your contact, keep supplies with you, have gloves on hand in addition to your masks, so that if you need to come in contact with a commonly used surface, you can come in contact with it and then toss your glove in the garbage, things like that. Mainly just common sense stuff. I personally, there are courses that are just better in person, better or necessary in person. But there are other courses that can be done online if you can minimize the amount of time that you spend on campus, and take some of those courses online. And they're there for that reason.
Thank you, and thank you for your news report earlier. And Sophie, before I get to you, I wanted to add: are people doing any Zoom parties? Or you said the Greek life is gone, but are there Zoom meetings or for fun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like birthday parties online. Parties. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So, and Sophie, I know you were excited to get back to campus life. I mean, are you happy you did go back? And do you have any advice for your own family that's watching? Any words for future students that are about to go back, maybe even next year or next semester?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think I was somebody that was overly nervous to go back to school. I know Sabrina said that we sounded crazy when we said to people that we had been quarantined since spring break when we left. We were very, very strictly quarantined at home. Myself, I have health issues, my family. And so I think that the best advice that I could give people, which was my biggest nerve coming back to school, was how I was going to deal with getting back into a normal life. And if my friends were doing something that I wasn't comfortable doing, being able to kind of use my voice saying, guys, I'm not comfortable with that. I genuinely haven't been to a Publix since January. And that sounds crazy to some people, but it is something that I'm comfortable with doing. I need to do that for my mental health, just to stay sane. And I think it's okay to say to your friends, hey, listen, you guys go, I'm going to stay back. But it's an awkward conversation because they're like, oh, you'll be fine. But it's it's more than, oh, you'll be fine. It's I'm not comfortable with that. And it's more.
It's so funny because it's almost like the DARE program against drugs years ago. It's like,
Exactly. It's
okay, you're in a group and people are doing maybe some drugs, and it's okay to say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that.
With this.
I don't want to go into Publix, okay? Yeah, but I'm going to be out here, and it's the same with me. I haven't gone either, but right. That's interesting. You're like, that's not my comfort level, but it's okay. I still want to hang out with you guys.
Absolutely. I mean, since then I've gotten a lot more comfortable, but the first night we got here, my friends were like, hey, let's go sit at a restaurant. We have a Park Ave right here. I was like, I haven't been into a restaurant since January. I'm gonna make some food here for now. I just been like I'm all comfortable now. My friends were super, super understanding, and I go to a great campus where I feel super safe. So it's been a really healthy adjustment, I think, just going from home to back to school and slowly getting back into normal life.
Well, thank you all for being here and taking your time out from classes and studying and Zoom parties. You got some nice comments from Heather Small-Gilbert and Rhonda Small. Thank you so much. But everyone, give the girls and our gentlemen some love. Feel free to follow the future programs coming up, from everything from Miami Beach to how to be a writer on the New York Times bestsellers list, all coming up. Follow at the Boca Raton Tribune on social media. And again, thanks everyone for being here. I wish you all luck. And Sophie, Sophie and Mario studied both communications, which is where my heart is. So love it. And just everyone, thank you again. I love you all, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having us.
So much.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Wednesday too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.